Hi, that's on. I'm Adam. That was a lot of stuff. And I'm a fast talker, so I apologise for that. I blame red cordial when I was younger. I blame my mum. Okay, so today I want to talk to you a little bit about mythology, how that all kind of works, how that flows. Do a bit of a wriggle while I'm doing that. No, you're all right? Okay, good, tough crowd, all right. Okay, so let's go. Mythology can be looked at as a story that explains how things come to be the way they are. That's my quote, which is kind of a mash of Wikipedia and a bunch of other sources. But mythology really is explaining our world to some degree. Obviously, there's lots of other things that explain our world, but I kind of like the idea that mythology does. And I really like dragons. Who doesn't like a dragon? I like a dragon. Everyone likes a dragon, unless, of course, they're real. And then I don't like dragons. That's a problem. Because they got fire and stuff, and they're not really good, right? Fire is bad, I've been told. Anyway, but there's lots of other things. You know, you've got Greek gods, Thor, star signs. Maybe they're real. You know, I'm a Leo, ring. So come see me, any other Leos. Apparently we like hair brushing. That's important. The Dreamtime, right? The Dreamtime stories. Fundamental in Indigenous culture is Dreamtime and stories. The rainbow serpent, fertility, the land. So many different connections that we have with that. And so it's a really strong image and very powerful image in Indigenous culture. I am Australian, so I won't say anything, but I will give you a little bit of fodder. Apparently, Melbourne Uni yesterday came out and said that the Australian accent is because of a lot of drinking. So that's all I'm going to say about that. Siren, right? 16th century siren. Starbucks grabbed it, so instead of singing to us, unless there's a coffee cup that sings to us, which would be like a nightmare, it got a lot of sugar in it, right? But again, that kind of keeps us coming back. Well, keeps some people coming back. But how does it apply in a real world scenario? What do these kind of images do to us? What do they make us feel? Wriggle again, everybody? No? Okay, all right, thought I'd try it again, didn't really work. So I've got a startup called disruptsurfing.com. Plug, obvious, need a board, come see me. So the challenge that we had was that you've got a surfing industry. Now, our founder is a surfer. He loves to surf. Our co-founder, he's a kite surfer, lunatic. I kayak. No? Woo! Okay, not as exciting. I'm not kind of, going from Sydney to Auckland. So there was a lot of, I'm the design guy, right? So I'm that kind of design relationship of the whole system, which means that they needed to tell me a lot of stuff. Needed to understand a lot of things about surfing. I needed to understand a lot of things about how it all works. And I needed to understand how we're actually going to design a website that would actually be able to encompass personalised boards so that you can go for a surf, get a board that you've designed, happy days, take it out, show it off, awesome. So I'm also a scientist. I'll talk about the dichotomy of science and design later, another talk. Anyway, but this is a stock image, that's blue. So I then spoke to a lot of surfers on the beach. Again, you can see the plug for the brand. Anyone need a board? So basically I chatted to a lot of people, right? And this is the start of that research project. Now, I guess the difference and what I'm trying to bring to life here is that surfing has got a lot of really strong myths, right? There's a lot of really strong language. There's a lot of things that are really tightly associated with it. So when I was embarking on this research project, I really needed to understand surfers, and both of us kind of looked at each other a bit like that. Interesting though, as part of my research, I did find out that some surfers aren't so technically savvy, right? But a lot of them are. So our target market was, a lot of the other guys weren't, which is really interesting, which is why I put an accelerometer in the board. But some of the stuff that we came up with was this kind of the elusive artisan. I wanted to put that in if anyone likes sourdough. Elusive artisan shapers, right? A shaper is a dude who makes boards or a girl who makes boards and shapes them. Now that process is a very tactile, visceral kind of, oh, I love my shaper. I know a shaper. This person's great. It's a one-to-one relationship. No one else knows my shaper. You'll never find him. He's in a little kind of warehouse out the back of the Northern Beaches in Sydney or wherever he is. He's just hard to find. He's a nomad. He moves around. Anyway, this is this kind of mythology that surrounds a shaper. Where are they? Don't know. I've got a good one. Check out my board. It's faster and lighter and better than yours, right? So how do you build that into what you're actually talking about, right? How do you provide a connection, online connection, to a person who is actually, they're doing this really personal procedure? And then what about the ultimate wave? Because the ultimate wave is what they're all looking for. They're going to Chowpool, they're going for somewhere, these gigantic waves where it's just crazy. They're like massive and people are, anyway. They're really big waves and I don't get it, but they love them. It's really hard to ride my kayak down there. Kind of like that. But, so that's the other thing is this mythological massive wave that they're aiming for, and it's tied to the board type and it's tied to the shaper because the shaper has made it and he's the only guy who can make it because he knows the volume and the weight and how to actually get it to ride on that. And language is much more than industry nonsense, right? So taxonomy and language is really important when you're embarking on any of these processes, and you need to understand that you're talking to the industry and who you're actually speaking to, really important. But language, again, is even worse with surfing, and I've got to refer to it every time. It's like, snaking, snap, kick out, dropping in, bailing out, close out, like it's, what are you talking, what? But they're not just words like a fintech startup would use that are around SMFF, which is, self-managed super funds or something like that. It's not that kind of language. It's language that is particularly tied to someone being a tool. All right? Someone doing something really stupid, someone getting in my way, someone being cool, nice wave, bad wave, all that kind of stuff. So it's not just about doing an inventory and making sure you're talking to the right people, it's doing an inventory and making sure you're talking to the right group and the right space. So what are those design impacts? This guy blends everything. There's a lot of design impacts. So, I don't know, he's been going for years. Anyway, so you grab all of this stuff, right? You've got to grab the ultimate wave, you've got to grab the shaper, and you've got to put them all together, and you've got to try and mix it up. And we tried to do it, and the important things we tried to bring to the fore were ownership. So ownership was really important, and that was the ownership of the process. They wanted to own the process, so not in kind of like a gambling kind of way where I own a poker machine, ding ding. It's where I actually own the whole, poker machines aren't like that anymore, are they, unless they're in Vegas? So do they still have them? Okay, good. So it was ownership of the process, ownership of the board process, and as I said, the language, and most importantly, the relationship. I know that person. I really like that person. I'm going to use that person. I'm going to tell my friends about that person. And so we kind of came up with this idea of not just a website, but we did a little bit more testing, scientist, and came up with this sort of idea where we needed to provide people with a way to control a process where they've got an ability to know, how much they weigh. If you're not so good at this sort of thing, you know how much you weigh and what your age is and what your volume is. Another word, volume, it's not like 2 litres of milk, it's how thick the board is and how fast you want to go. So it's all of those kind of things tied together to provide you with a personalised tool where you can basically design your own board. You can talk to a shaper, the language is talking to shapers, language is talking to shapers, you can upload your own designs, you can do all this kind of stuff. But the idea is, firstly, that they were going through a process, secondly, that they felt comfortable, thirdly, that they could talk to anybody that they wanted to, fourthly, that they could email or actually speak and get that confirmation because they really wanted to feel comfort. But storytelling. Yep, he really freaks me out, he really does. I know I'm not going to say it because it's going to freak everybody out. Everybody's doing that line in their head, right? They're doing that line in their head, right? And that's the point of storytelling. So, anyway, that's the point of storytelling, right? The point of storytelling then is to grab all of that stuff that we've learned and all of the learnings and all of the research and kind of pull it into this pipe, suck it in, churn it in, put it in that blender, that guy, crazy guy, and then suck it out the other end, get the website, happy days. I think I've said that 4 times, apologise. Anyway, so is he still hanging over the food court at Wellington Airport? Anyway, it's the quietest food court I've ever seen. Small kids are kind of eating their sandwich and going, "Mum, what did I do wrong?" Anyway, but he really does frighten people, and that's the whole point, right? We want to be able to use language and use images to storytell so that for us, when we go to the Shark Tank in a couple of weeks, we're able to put all of that storytelling together and talk to people who don't even know about surfing, what it all means, and we bring the mythology in because mythology everybody can kind of relate to. These are images that everybody sees immediately, they have an immediate reaction, they can go, yeah, I get that creepy golem guy's going to ride your board, that's fantastic, right? So that's really me. That was kind of the the 10-minute kind of atom, blue egg, disrupt surfing. And I really think it's part of design. And you need to use it for good and not evil. Because it can be used for evil, I think. Because as much as you have a very strong positive reaction with images and pictures and mythology, you can also have a very negative reaction, or it can be used in a very subversive, pervasive way. So, go forth, use your tools, and be, nice people. And so long, and thanks for all the fish.